For nearly 50 years, Voyager 1 had drifted silently through the vast emptiness of space, and many believed that its time was finally running out. As humanity's most distant emissary, it faced a critical problem. Its orientation thrusters, dormant since 2004, were presumed dead. Without these thrusters, the spacecraft couldn't aim its high-gain antenna at Earth. That meant communication would fade, and with it, the mission would quietly come to an end. But then, against all expectations, something extraordinary occurred. Just as a complete system failure seemed inevitable and silence drew near, NASA made one final attempt, a gamble, a near whisper into the void. Miraculously, the seemingly lifeless thrusters came back online. This video explores how Voyager 1 pulled off one of the most astonishing comebacks in space history, proving once again that the universe sometimes rewards those bold enough to believe in the impossible. Voyager 1 has long relied on subtle adjustments, tiny puffs from its thrusters, to keep its antenna perfectly aligned with Earth. Now, more than 15 billion miles away, it's far beyond joystick control. Its continued operation depends entirely on those thrusters. When the primary roll thrusters failed in 2004 due to their internal heaters freezing, NASA switched to backup thrusters, which seemed reliable at the time. However, by 2025, those backups had begun to fail. Residue had built up in the fuel lines, gradually choking them. Without roll control, the spacecraft would lose its orientation and communication would be lost. Not suddenly, but through a slow, helpless drift out of alignment. Worsening the situation, the only antenna powerful enough to reach Voyager 1, Deep Space Station 43 in Australia, was scheduled for a nearly year-long upgrade. If the backup thrusters failed during that window, there would be no way to send instructions to the spacecraft in time. The countdown had begun, and failure was no longer a distant possibility. It was becoming a certainty. NASA had just one option left: attempt to reawaken the primary thrusters, untouched since 2004 and thought to be beyond repair. But the risks were real. What if the heaters didn't respond? What if firing frozen thrusters caused structural damage? Despite the odds, a small team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory had a theory. Perhaps the original failure wasn't due to physical damage, but something simpler: a flipped switch, a dead circuit. If so, it might be possible to reset them remotely. The team devised an exact sequence, timed to the second, to warm the thrusters before issuing any firing command. On March 20th, 2025, they transmitted the signal, a message that would take 23 hours to reach Voyager and another 23 to receive a reply. When the response finally came, it confirmed the impossible. The heaters had reactivated. The temperature rose. The thrusters fired. "It was such a glorious moment," said propulsion engineer Todd Barber. After 20 years, a piece of inactive spacecraft hardware had been revived. The impact was immediate and monumental. With the primary roll thrusters restored, Voyager regained full attitude control. This meant it could maintain its antenna lock, reorient in space, and continue transmitting precious scientific data from beyond the edge of the solar system. More than a technical fix, this was a lifeline. Communication was secured, allowing NASA to plan strategically, conserving power, rotating instruments, and potentially extending Voyager's mission into the 2030s. In a world where modern smartphones become obsolete in mere years, Voyager, launched in 1977, continues to operate, to inform and to survive. Thanks to this daring recovery, it now has a dependable fallback should the backup thrusters fail entirely. Somewhere between the stars, one ancient spacecraft has been granted a second chance. Voyager 1 is more than a relic. It is an active observatory on the outer frontier. Even now it measures interstellar plasma, maps distant magnetic fields, and defines the very boundary of the Sun's influence, what scientists call the heliosphere. In 2024, after suffering months of corrupted data due to a memory glitch, Voyager was brought back online. By 2025, all 4 of its scientific instruments were once again fully operational. With stabilized orientation, it resumed its role as a beacon of cosmic discovery, collecting data no other probe can match. This data is helping researchers define the true edge of the heliosphere, laying the groundwork for future interstellar missions. Every signal it sends is not just a scientific update, it's a message from the frontier. Thanks to a decision that defied logic and fear, that message will continue. When NASA confirmed the success of Voyager 1's thruster revival, the global scientific community paused. This was more than a routine update. It felt poetic. A machine older than the internet had just answered a faint call sent into the dark. Media outlets rushed to share the story. Headlines used words like resurrection and miracle. Scientists hailed it as one of the most improbable achievements in the history of deep space exploration. To many, it felt like a message not merely from a spacecraft, but from the cosmos itself. A reminder that endurance and belief still matter. In classrooms, observatories, and late-night online forums, people looked up at the stars with a renewed sense of wonder. Something that had no right to still function was alive. Voyager's revival isn't only a testament to past engineering brilliance, it is a guiding light for the future. As space agencies plan missions like the Interstellar Probe and explore new propulsion technologies, Voyager's endurance offers critical insights into long-term radiation shielding, autonomous systems, and power sustainability. The data it collects on interstellar plasma now informs advanced models for future spacecraft. Engineers are revisiting its design, not as an outdated relic, but as a resilient blueprint. Built with 1970s hardware, ancient code, and handwritten commands, Voyager has become a teacher for the next generation of explorers. The next probe won't start from scratch. It will start from Voyager's legacy. Voyager 1 exists in a paradox. It is the most distant object ever created by humanity, yet one of the most closely monitored. Every maneuver it makes reminds us of our limitations and challenges them. It speaks to us once every 45 hours, with a signal so faint it's 20 billion times weaker than a watch battery. Still, massive Earth-based antennas catch that whisper and decode it. In doing so, we prove that even the faintest voice can be heard, if we listen. What makes Voyager 1 truly remarkable isn't only what it does, but what it represents. It carries a golden record with greetings in 55 languages, whale songs, a baby's cry, and a map of Earth's location in the galaxy. It is a message in a bottle, tossed into the infinite ocean of space, not addressed to anyone, but meant for whoever might one day care. It is hope, made physical. And now as it continues its impossible journey, its once-defunct thrusters alive again after 2 decades, it offers a deeper message. The drive to explore, to reach beyond, to resist silence. That is what defines us. Voyager lives on because someone refused to abandon it. Someone believed it was worth the effort even when the odds were against them. In the end, that belief is perhaps the most human quality of all. Today, Voyager 1 drifts between the stars, following a path no other human creation will tread for centuries. It moves without destination, without promise of discovery, without even the certainty that its message will be received. And yet it continues. Voyager is not just a spacecraft, it is a vessel of memory. A memory of who we were when we believed that curiosity alone justified the journey. Its analog grooves, encoded sounds, and golden plate preserve a snapshot of Earth in the 20th century. With every transmission, it carries not only science, but sentiment. Across the vastness of space, it whispers, "You made me, and I'm still here." In reawakening its dead thrusters, we didn't just extend a mission. We reignited a promise, that as long as Voyager continues, some part of humanity remains, undeterred and unforgotten. Voyager 1 was built with the hope that it might outlast us, that it might venture farther than we ever could, and that it might keep speaking, even in the loneliest corners of the universe. Nearly 5 decades later, it still speaks. A thruster we thought was lost has come alive. A spacecraft we feared was fading has held on. Against time, against distance, and against silence, Voyager answered. Not because it was easy, and not because it was built to last this long, but because someone dared to believe. That belief now glides between the stars. Is Voyager 1's journey a feat of science, or something more, something like legacy? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to follow us to the edge of exploration.